What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Oak Tree Football channel, and welcome to another 2020 college football schedule breakdown and record prediction. Today, I'm going to be continuing with the SEC teams. Today, I'm going to be doing the Ole Miss Rebels. Last season was a year to forget for the Rebels. They finished with a record of 4-8, and it had been more of the same for the past few years. They've missed I believe they went 5-7 2 years ago, and then they went 6-6 2 years ago. Sorry. The year before that. But like I said, they haven't made a bowl game since 2017. But now they have a new head coach, Lane Kiffin, who has been a pretty good coach in the past. They have a very interesting quarterback situation, in my opinion, with both Matt Corral and John Rice Plumlee fighting to win the starting job. Personally, I think it'll be Plumlee. Because in limited playing time last year, Plumlee had over 1,000 rush yards, and he was pretty good as a passer as well. So I think Plumlee should start just because of his talent throwing the ball and running the ball. Ole Miss is bringing back receiver Elijah Moore. He was their number one receiver from last year. He's someone I think can have a big season. They're also bringing back Lakia Henry, who was a very good linebacker last season. He had a lot of tackles. And Ole Miss is just a team I expect to surprise some people this year. The problem is they have a bit of a tough schedule. Of course, being in the SEC, you're normally going to have some tough games when you're in the SEC, especially if you're not really a top-tier team. But I think they could surprise some people this year, and I expect them to be pretty good. So let's get into this prediction. Went 4-8 last year, like I said, and they had the 34th best recruiting class in the country. So that's not terrible. Obviously, it could be better, but it's not terrible. Week 1, they started off with a neutral site game in Houston, Texas. They're going to play Baylor. Baylor is a very, very, very interesting team this year because they're losing a lot of talent from last year, including their head coach, Matt Rule, who's one of the best coaches in college football. They're also losing their wide receiver, Denzel Mims. I still expect Baylor to be good this year. Charlie Brewer is their quarterback. I think he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, if I'm honest. And then Dave Aranda is their new coach. He definitely has the potential to be a good coach, in my opinion. So I think Baylor will still be a pretty good team. And I see Ole Miss struggling in this one, especially, it's not a home game for Baylor, but it is still in Texas. Obviously, Baylor is in Texas. So I think that Baylor will probably win this one because I do think Baylor's better than Ole Miss. And I just think Ole Miss is going to struggle in week 1 of the season. I think as the season progresses, they'll get better and better. But week 1, I think we're going to see some struggles from them. So I don't really think they're going to win this one, if I'm honest. I do think it's a possibility. I just don't think it's that likely. Week 2, they have Southeast Missouri. They should have no problem here at home. That is an easy win, in my opinion. Week 3, they've got a very tough one against Auburn. Now, this is a game that Ole Miss could get a big upset in. They have a few games like this season. Ole Miss is a team that could definitely have a huge upset this year, especially because they're at home. It's early in the year. Teams normally struggle early in the year rather than later. Ole Miss could struggle early in the year, but so could Auburn, and maybe Ole Miss will take advantage of Auburn struggling in this one. So this could be a serious game that Ole Miss could actually win, but I think it's going to be tough. Auburn has Bo Nix as their quarterback coming into his second season. He should definitely take a step up, in my opinion. Jatarvius Willows, the running back, he definitely has the potential to be a good running back. And then they have wide receiver Seth Williams, who can be one of the better wide receivers, potentially in the SEC. So Auburn is just a team that has a lot of offensive talent, and they definitely do have the pieces on defense as well. Sure, they are losing some pieces on their defense, like Derek Brown, but they still definitely have a lot. And this is going to be a tough one for Ole Miss. This is a game that they could definitely get an upset in, but I'm still going to pick Auburn at the moment because I'm just going to go with the safer bet. I'm not counting Ole Miss out. I could seriously see them having an upset in this one, but Auburn is definitely the safer bet. So at the moment, that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to pick Auburn there. Week 4, they play on the road at LSU. I don't really think they're going to win this one. Even though LSU is losing a lot, they still have 2 of the best players at the position in the country, Derek Stingley and Jamar Chase. Derek Stingley, in my opinion, is the best cornerback. Maybe he'll have a bit of a step back this year because now he's going to be playing the number 1 cornerback position. Last year he was playing the number 2 behind Christian Fulton, so he was getting a lot more targets. Now he's going to be the number 1, but I still expect him to have a good year. And then Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the country. He was just unbelievable last year, and he should have another unbelievable season. Their quarterback is a big question mark. Miles Brennan, will he be able to get the job done? I think he will be able to get it done. I don't think he'll be anywhere close to what Joe Burrow did last year. I just don't think he's that good, or as good as Joe Burrow. LSU is losing some receiving targets, but I still expect Miles Brennan to be fine player this season. So I think that LSU should win this one, especially because it's going to be a home game for LSU. So I'm going to pick LSU there. It's a tough start of the season, tough start of the year for Ole Miss. They could have, I honestly think they'll have 3 losses at this point, and then I'd see that getting even worse in Week 5 when they have to play Alabama. Alabama's just arguably the best team in the SEC. The roster is probably best in the SEC. I think I would say that. They just have so much talent. Mac Jones, their quarterback, he's a big question mark. Will he be able to perform? But if he can, Alabama should be perfect this season. Najee Harris, the running back, definitely is a great running back. He could have gone to the draft this year, but he decided to stay, and that's really going to help Alabama. And then they have Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith as their 2 wide receivers. It's one of the best receiving duos in college football. They are losing a few other receivers to the NFL draft, of course, like Jared Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. But they still have these guys coming back, and I just don't see Ole Miss beating Bama. Even though it's a home game for Ole Miss, I just don't see it happening. I'm definitely going to pick Bama in this one. So 4 losses to start the season. 4 losses in 5 games for Ole Miss. That's my prediction. It's just a tough start, but luckily it's going to get a bit better in Week 6 when they get to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is just the worst team in the SEC. Maybe there's one team worse than them, but they're just not a good team. And maybe this game can be a bit close because it's a home game for Vanderbilt, but I just don't see Ole Miss losing this one. Unless something goes completely wrong, unless Lane Kiffin just does not get it done at all, they should win this one. And it should be a pretty comfortable win, even though it's on the road. Week 7, this is a tough one. They're playing Florida. Now, this is one game that a lot of people have said that Ole Miss can get an upset in this one. And I think they can. I definitely think that Ole Miss can get an upset in this game. Florida is a very interesting team because they could struggle this year. They definitely have a lot of talent, though. They have Kyle Trask as their quarterback. He can definitely be a good quarterback. And then they have Kyle Pitts as their tight end. He is arguably the best tight end in college football. I would say number 2, but you could say he's number 1. Definitely. So a lot of people have been talking about this as a game that Ole Miss can get an upset in, and it is a possibility. This is not a game that I think that there's no chance Ole Miss will win. I do think it probably will be Florida. I think it most likely will be Florida. But like the Auburn game, this is a game that Ole Miss could seriously surprise some people in and actually get the upset. So it would be pretty shocking if Ole Miss was able to get the upset. But I do kind of feel like they will get a pretty big upset this year. And I feel that this has a good chance to be that upset. So it would be very surprising, I think. But I do think it is a possibility they beat Florida. Week 8, they play UConn at home. I don't think they should struggle in this one. UConn, of course, is leaving the American Athletic. They were just terrible last year, and I don't see Ole Miss having issues in this game. They should get a comfortable win. Then they have their bye week in Week 9. Not a great place bye because you're coming off an easy game. You're going into a tough road game, but you're coming off a pretty easy home game. It's later in the year. This is not the best place bye for Ole Miss this season. Week 10, though, they have a tough one at Texas A&M. A&M is a team that will probably get better this year. They were pretty good last year, but they'll probably improve this year. And maybe some people think they can be a top 10 team in the top 25 this year in college football. I'm not sure they'll be that good, but I do think they will be pretty good this season. So this is going to be a tough one for Ole Miss. They're on the road against arguably one of the best teams in college football, one of the best teams in the SEC, arguably. They should be a top 25 team this year. Ole Miss just isn't as good as Texas A&M, I think. And this being a road game for Ole Miss, I think Texas A&M should get the win. Maybe Ole Miss can make it closer than people might expect, but it should be Texas A&M, definitely. Week 11 is a very interesting week because they play Arkansas. Now, Arkansas was not good last year. That's the only way to put it. They just were not good last year. But they did get better this offseason, in my opinion. They brought in Felipe Franks to be their new quarterback, and I think he can be pretty good. I don't think Arkansas is going to be too much better, but maybe because this is a road game for Ole Miss, they'll struggle a bit. But I expect Ole Miss to improve later in the year. As the season goes on, I think they'll get better and better. So I don't really see them losing this one. I do think it's a possibility if Arkansas can really improve this year, if Felipe Franks really helps them out like a lot more than we expect. But I do think that Ole Miss should be able to get the win on the road. Week 12, they play Georgia Southern. I don't see them having an issue in this one. This is an out-of-conference game, of course. Georgia Southern is just not that good. So Ole Miss should get the win. And then Week 13, they play Mississippi State. Mississippi State is an interesting team. I did my prediction on them yesterday. They're bringing in KJ Costello and Mike Leach, so it's a fantastic offseason for them. And Mississippi State, in my opinion, will get better as the season progresses, just like Ole Miss, because, they'll kind of get more used to playing with each other, KJ Costello and his receivers, and Mike Leach. So Mississippi State is going to be an interesting team this year. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this game because Ole Miss is the home team. I do think it's a possibility Mississippi State wins, but I just think that the home field advantage will help Ole Miss in this one, and I think they'll be able to get it done. So now, as I always do, I'll go through each game. Once again, I'm going to give my prediction for who I think will win. Week 1, Baylor, I'm going to give it a loss. I could see them getting the upset, but I'm going to give it a loss. I think they'll beat Southeast Missouri, and then I think they'll lose to Auburn, LSU, and Bama. I think they'll beat Vanderbilt, but I think they'll lose to Florida. They could maybe win that game. Maybe they'll surprise people, but I don't think so. I think they'll beat UConn. Then they're bye. I think they'll lose to Texas A&M, and I think they'll beat Arkansas, Georgia Southern, and Mississippi State to have a record of 6-6 on the year. I think this is a pretty safe bet for Ole Miss this year because I think they have the talent to go to a bowl game, especially with a new coach. I mean, it's going to be interesting with a new coach, but I think they can. They will be able to do it. They're a team that could seriously have some upsets this season. For me, there's 3 definite losses, and they're going to lose at LSU against Alabama, and I think they will lose at Texas A&M just because I think that's going to be a tough game on the road. But they could definitely upset Baylor, Auburn, or Florida. I don't think they'll upset all 3. So for me, they'll probably have 4 or 5 losses this year, but I could definitely see them beating Baylor, Auburn, or Florida, one of those teams. I do think that's a possibility. Would not be surprised if this team goes 7-5, but I could also see them maybe dropping one extra one. Maybe they drop at Arkansas. Maybe that's going to be tougher than we think. Maybe Arkansas can improve better than most people think, or Mississippi State. So worst case for me is 4-8. I don't think that will happen, but I don't think they'll do worse than that. I think they'll beat Southeast Missouri. I think they'll beat Vanderbilt. I think they'll beat UConn, and I think they'll beat Georgia Southern. I think they'll definitely win all those 4 games. Because they're at home for 3 of them anyway, so I think they'll win those 4 games, go at least 4-8, and then I think they'll beat Arkansas, Mississippi State, give them a 6-6 record. If they could beat Baylor, Auburn, or Florida, this could be a seriously good team this year. They could surprise a lot of people, in my opinion, and I think it's going to be a good stepping stone going forward, bringing in a new coach, and I think this is going to be a good season for them. But these are just my thoughts on Ole Miss for this season. What are your guys' thoughts? Tell me in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more daily NFL and college football content. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.